Dr. Mundo has always been one of League's most simplistic champions. He gains a ton of HP from just being Mundo. He runs around, throwing his one resourceful ability at targets, to then eventually chase them down and headbutt them to death. I've always been fond of this champion's backstory and his lore, and I felt his playstyle really does nothing for him. So I decided to give Mundo the rework treatment. In this video, you will see some very big changes to Mundo as a whole, and what he could potentially be in the future. Hopefully Riot will see that. Welcome to my rework of Dr. Mundo. As always, make sure you like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of this champion rework and any changes you would make to this, as well as any champion reworks you would like to see me do in the future. Mundo's old passive was called Adrenaline Rush, and this ability granted Mundo a percentage of HP regeneration based on his missing HP. We decided to change this and make it a little more up to date. Mundo's new passive is called Mundo Like Pain, where Mundo gains a brand new form of resource known as Abomination Blood. This blood resource increases whenever Mundo takes any form of damage, whether it's from himself or from an outside source. The higher Mundo's Abomination Blood goes, the more HP regeneration Mundo will receive. However, using abilities will stagger Mundo's extra Abomination Blood, also reducing his HP regeneration that he would receive from his passive for X amount of seconds. Mundo's current Q is called Infected Cleaver, which allows him to throw a skill shot in a target direction, dealing HP damage and slowing the target that it hits. We decided to change this up a little bit to give him a new Q called Surgical Slashing. Dr. Mundo throws one of his saw blades in target direction, which uses the blood resource, not HP, to cast. This has a shorter skill distance than his current Q, which is a little over 700. We gave this one 550, so it's much shorter range. Last hitting minions and monsters will refund the blood cost, as well as 70% of that ability's cooldown. The blade deals magic damage and HP damage, and the HP damage is determined by the difference between Mundo's total HP versus that target's current HP, not total. Landing a skill shot on an enemy champion will mark that target with scarring, and then if Mundo is able to auto-attack that target, this will remove the mark, dealing bonus magic damage and creating a violent uproar around him, dealing AoE damage. This also generates blood resource for each enemy champion that Mundo does hit during the first part of his Q and the AoE portion of it as well. Mundo's old W was called Burning Agony, which was a toggle ability that would drain Mundo's health, and he would have these weird fireballs that would come out of his body and deal damage to targets around him. This idea is very cool, but the whole fireball thing was just a little odd for us. So we wanted to change it to make it fit a little bit better. So the ability now is called Boiling Blood and Agony Within. So this has a passive and an active. The passive, damage Dr. Mundo takes increases the flow of his resource blood. So with this ability, it actually increases what his passive can do. The active, once Mundo activates Boiling Blood, Mundo will slowly begin to consume his blood resource and slowly drain his HP. During this ability, Mundo's blood begins to rise in temperature, emitting a high level of heat from his body, and this heat deals magic damage over time to all targets around. Mundo can reactivate this ability to cast Agony Within, which will consume one full bar of blood resource. This will grant Mundo increased damage reduction for X amount of seconds. So this has some of the ability that his old W did, but also giving him a little more utility and also making it not a toggle ability. I think that's very bad for the game's state and just kind of where the game's going in the future. Kind of need to get rid of those, any of those type of abilities. Dr. Mundo's current E is called Masochism. This is a auto attack enhancing ability that grants him extra AD for the next 5 seconds. In addition, Dr. Mundo is also granted an additional attack damage buff depending on how much health he has missing at that current time. We felt this ability was too bland for his new kit, so we wanted to change this up a lot. His new E is called Brute Strength. Dr. Mundo swipes with his right arm in a target direction. During the swipe, all minions and monsters caught during this ability are dealt physical damage and are slowed for X amount of seconds. The first enemy champion who is caught inside of Mundo's Brute Strength will be caught in his right hand. During this grapple, Mundo will headbutt his target twice, dealing HP damage as physical damage. Also, during this, they are caught in Mundo's arm, so he can kind of carry them around almost like a Tom Kench W, so to speak. Mundo can reactivate this ability again to throw that target in a target direction, dealing physical damage only if that target is thrown into terrain. If they are thrown into the open, they will just be slowed for a few seconds. The damage is determined by how far that target travels into the terrain. So if he's standing directly next to a wall, you're going to want to throw him to the opposite wall. That way you deal a little more damage. The range on this ability is about 750 pixels, which is almost what his old Q range was, which is quite a long range. This ability has a basically lane to lane. You can be on one side of the lane and throw them to the direct opposite wall of you, and should be able to land it and should deal a lot of damage. Dr. Mundo's current ultimate is called Sadism. This is an ability where Dr. Mundo will sacrifice a portion of his HP for an increase in both movement speed and HP generation for X amount of seconds. We felt this was a core component to what makes Dr. Mundo Dr. Mundo. So we didn't want to change this too much, so we just gave some little updates and tuned it a little bit. So the new ultimate is called Extreme Masochism, which has a passive and an active. So with the passive, unlocking his ultimate, which will break Dr. Mundo's limit of usage with his blood resource. Each level going up into his ultimate will expand on that resource bar. So as you see, from pre-level 6 all the way up to level 16, his blood resource will keep expanding, allowing him to use more abilities and being able to spam. Now with the active, this ability will extend past Mundo's limitations, and he will rage with power for X amount of seconds. During the first second of casting his ultimate, Dr. Mundo will gain invincibility. After that second of invincibility, for the rest of the duration, Dr. Mundo will become unstoppable and gains increased movement speed. Now, the more damage that Dr. Mundo takes, either from inflicting it on himself or from enemies, the more blood resource Dr. Mundo will receive. So, very similar to his current ultimate, but it's really using his actual passive for him to be able to gain more HP regeneration. And he becomes unstoppable, which I felt was something that should have happened anyways. This will conclude our rework of Dr. Mundo. As always, let us know what you guys think down in the comments. Like and subscribe, and comment and let us know if there's any champions you would like to see us take a crack at with reworking in the future. As always, thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.